almost 10 years of Y Achievers here in Birmingham, but I also came from about 25 years at the medical school.
Well, what I
So
need, what I honestly need is
I have a
contact
background, of
information.
course, I did almost 10 years of Y Achievers here in Birmingham, but I also came from about taping me medical school.
Well, what
So
I say, yeah, I hear echo.
Yeah, it's now we're streaming. We're streaming on YouTube instead because it's won't work on Jiggle. So let me turn my sound off. So now we're streaming. We're live.
All right.
I'm gonna mute
You
myself
okay?
until I get it straight. But we're live now. But y'all go ahead and start.
Okay, y'all can do the networking piece after, so you don't.
I'm gonna
put
just
yourself-
put it in the chat, Tasha.
Right.
Yeah.
Tasha's
That's,
in
and
the
then,
chat.
you know, y'all will definitely connect no matter what. So y'all already been connected. So tonight, I mean, I think there's only one topic to discuss, and I'm glad we have a few people here. And whether you watch the debate in its totality or just caught the highlights, I have one question to start with that I'm looking for real, insightful, thoughtful, engaging responses to. And I wish we had a couple more people on here. Maybe they'll join us, but I am interested, and Marsha, we'll start with you because I know you are limited in your time. How did the debate make you feel in terms of your Americanness? Did it make you feel more American, less American, the same American? So with that, think about it. Think about it as far as your time you've spent, which is in your entire life in this country. How, based on all of your experiences, everything you've witnessed in your life, how did this debate make you feel in terms of your Americanism?
It took me back. Because it's as if we're backing up. We've always struggled and fought to be a part of this country. However, with the way the leadership presented, you have to think, do I really want to be a part of this? Or how do I fit into this? Because he's not really concerned about people. It took me back. It was scary.
Yeah, from a personal standpoint, my grandmother said a couple years ago, and she was born in 1930. She's 90 years old this year. And
I was born in 1957, so I remember not being able to go into the front of the restaurants and sitting at the back of the bus. And then I'm in Birmingham too.
Yeah.
So, and with somebody telling white supremacists, stand guard, and I've been on a bus stop with white folks throwing cups of ice out at me. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to be in a country where I've got to be afraid of every white person I see, because you might be a part of the whatever the boys are, or anything else. So it makes me cautious.
Yeah, it was, like I said, a few years ago, and my grandmother said, "You don't reckon Trump gonna bring back old Jim Crow, do you?" And that's exactly what you're speaking of.
Right.
And how much foresight did she have? Because this was early in his presidency to even, take that little side eye look and receive that from the way he was carrying himself early on. So before I move on, okay, Marsha, Portia, I was going to ask you next.
Well, amazed, not shocked, but amazed that they went live with it, that the commentator, facilitator he had no control. Nobody had control of anything, of any situation. Our president, he showed no decorum, no respect, but again, is that operating off fear and chaos.
How did it make you feel? Did it?
And it
What did
made me
your
feel,
Americanism?
I'm going to say my Americanism,
Mhm.
it didn't, as far, maybe as far as the political systems were concerned, why am I a Democrat? And why would I want to be a Republican? As far as being challenged, as far as being an American, that didn't bother me as much because I wasn't surprised at anything that took place. It's just that I was challenged by having to make a decision as to which one of these political parties I wanted to affiliate myself with. That's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah. So I woke up the next morning myself, and it spurred something in me that I was gonna try to read, but I'll paraphrase. And I said, if you woke up this morning feeling more American, then you should feel a little less human. And I wrapped it up by saying I felt the same amount of American that I've ever felt, with my humanity intact. And I hope whoever read that felt the same. It was disturbing, but it was something that we know exists, and it's been, assuaged, though it's been covered up, and it's become less overt. But to see it at that level of leadership,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
kind of disorienting.
Yeah.
Farmer, what did you how American or less American did you feel after watching?
It didn't make a difference from a standpoint of Americanism for me. So that would be my short answer. But longer, I just think Joe Biden did well, and I don't think anybody's talking about how well he did because he had to continuously insult this clown. Because he has to continuously insult this clown. Like, he has to do it because Chris Wallace wasn't stopping him. No one was stopping him, and he's lying, and no one's saying anything, and he's the only other person that can say anything. So I felt bad that he had to do that, and it made his performance, it diminished his performance in the meantime. So everybody's blowing it off, talking about, oh, well, the whole thing was a quote unquote S show. When it really wasn't, when Joe Biden just did what he did, said all the pertinent things that needed to be said, and then you have this clown on the other side that no one's going to stop or challenge except for Joe. So that's my take.
Meryl, did you have a response, or are you still working over there? And if you are, just give us a nod.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with I'm Mike in one regard. It's like I don't my Americanism. I don't know. Like I struggle with that anyway. Because like I think true Americanism is like based on pillaging and raping and stealing. So yeah, I don't know if these American ideals and stuff that get perpetuated and stuff that we grew up with, like I don't really align to it. I live here in this country and I appreciate having the freedoms that we have, but I don't align to anything American necessarily.
So to further flesh out what I wrote, I made mention of the lives of Black Americans in terms of Black Americans have fought in every war that this country has chosen to engage in. Yet we remain the least protected and the most exploited. So I appreciate what it is and what it means to be an American from both perspectives, the real and the unrealized, the intentions and the failure to meet those. Black Americans have brought this country closer to what it has claimed to be. And I take great pride in that as a Black American. So I was, I was a bit dismayed, but as I stated, my Americanism, my thoughts of being an American remain intact. Now, Farmer, you said some things that I agree with about Joe Biden's, the way he carried himself definitely more respectable. However, the prompt for me even writing that little piece that I wrote and for having for asking the question that I asked at the onset here, it began with Chris Wallace saying, well, we're going to talk about race, and I'm paraphrasing, we're going to talk about race, and if you don't want to, that's fine, you can talk about something else then. What? And then when they begin to have some semblance of a conversation, it becomes about who's the better protector and serve guy, or who's the better law and order guy. Immediately, almost immediately, it turned to that. And while, again, Biden had better responses in his attempts to keep it on the topic of race, or in focus, with the special focus on African Americans and Black Americans, I still was really disheartened when Trump made the comment, stand back and stand by, in his failure to distance himself from white supremacy, stand back and stand by. And there was no moment with the other two guys, Mike Wallace and Joe Biden, of, hey, what did you just say? Or what? Or something that makes me as a Black American, the least protected and the most exploited, feel like somebody on that stage had my back. And then I thought about it. Who's on that stage? 3 70-some-year-old white men who've lived long enough to have seen what Black folks have went through and overcame, yet still don't have the ability to have that moment where there's less jelly in the spine and more cement, and just say, hey, we have to address what you said right here, right now. And we also have to address what you didn't say. So that was a very cringe-worthy moment for me. So let me ask you this. Go ahead, Marsha. Go ahead.
It's not just that. It's everybody else that's a part of this party. It's not just the three men who were on the stage. This man has gotten away with everything that he has said and done, legal, illegal. It's not just, we got three white men and they're saying, he rolls out and you can hear what everybody's trying to distance themselves. Everybody it's all about the party. You know, so how much do you say? If you say too much, Trump has your job. Your people will distance from you, because some of the same people that are looking to vote for senators or whatever in this race, it's the same people. You know, the same people. He is not the only one who feels this way. He is not the only one who believes this. That's the scary part for me. He's not the only one. Immediately shirts were made.
Like they knew it was coming, right?
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. I think what's scary for me, or makes me take notice, is that nobody, I mean, we're talking about people that are in those arenas that have to think about their jobs, that are cabinet members. But what about the everyday Joe that doesn't, that the job piece doesn't matter to them? They're just out there and they're closing their eyes because I have to stand with the party. And they're standing, even though they know, well, I can't say they know, even though some of the things that are being put out there as fake news and that are being challenged by our president, it is disheartening. So how can intelligent people go along with this? Or do they just close their eyes and say, you know how he is, don't pay attention to that?
I think that's what it is. They can't control him, because like the very next day, he started walking all that stuff back. It's like he walked all that stuff back. He was like, I don't know who the Proud Boys are.
That's not a walk back though, man. That's not a
No,
walk.
that is a walk back, and he says that he didn't remember if he said stand by. He meant to say stand back. Somebody in that White House is like, hey, look, is telling him, hey, look, man, you got to like chill, but he's not listening. So there's no controlling this guy. He just goes off. He has a certain message, and he's going to deliver that message very consistently to his base, and then just whatever the consequences are, they are, and then they do some damage control, and then bullshit Barbie comes on and does her thing the next day, and it just makes up a bunch of lies to say, well, what he really meant was this. So it might not be him walking it back, but the White House walks all the stuff that he says back.
Well,
But
that's
the
what
thing with that
the con
is that
man
I'm
does,
sorry.
or a cult leader does. The cult leader does what he does with impunity.
Yep.
And there's going to always be a sycophant around to assuage the people who are like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
And all he has is that one person that goes say, hey, yeah, you go take care of that. It was Dracula, and then there was the little hunchback dude that,
Mhm.
Yeah. But he
But
says what he.
they have jobs to do. But he says exactly what he means.
Thank you.
Now the
Thank
thing
you.
about it is that, and he'll tell you exactly what he's going to do if we listen and can listen through, sift through the rhetoric.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that I don't care who you are or what position you hold. People hear what you say. They don't hear what you mean.
Right. And he knows that. He has a method to drum up that hate, and that's his message. I don't know if he believes it or not, but he knows it works. He's going to continue to do it, and it works.
So with that being said and understood, the best kind, man, they make you believe whatever they're saying, no matter what it is the right thing that's being said. I mean, that's the best kind, man.
Or they just hate.
What's that? The hand is crooked in the eye.
They hate black folks. It's a bunch of people that hate brown and black people. And if you have a message that says I hate them, and they are still in our country, the gay people, like if you whatever is not part of the mainstream, if you say they're trying to take our country, there's a whole bunch of people who are into that message. And if you're willing to go ahead and say it, you're gonna have people vote for you. Just is what it is.
Well, okay, so he made a comment that really got me more so than the stand back, stand up message, and that was when he hit Hunter Biden.
That did nothing. No, that didn't bother me at all.
But the reason that bothered me is because through it all, you just don't. That was a low blow. The message was between him, the two men. Why go for somebody's family?
That's what he does, man.
I don't feel like it was off limits because he definitely showed that everything goes when he was debating Hillary, and he had no quirk or qualm bringing up.
He has no moral
Bill.
compass.
Yeah, and bringing up Bill.
Zero.
And I
I
would
think
even
somebody should have put a picture up of Melania.
Well, see, that's what I'm gonna say now.
well, how low? Now, see, this is the risk you run, right? So how low do we go as a society in terms of response? So my next, and Farmer, did you have something you wanted to say before okay, so I wanted to go to this next prompt, but don't leave that universe. If you guys want to come back to that, that's fine. There's been this rush to, we have to address the lack of decorum and the mess that this first debate was. Hey, let's turn mics on and off as we proceed. Now, I have a thought about changing the way this goes that seems to be the reverse of everyone else, but I'm interested in you guys' thoughts on controlling the microphones before I share mine. So, Marsha, sake of time, in your corner first.
Well, I'm just going to be honest. I think that he should have been professional enough to debate. But that's what he does. I just think that the moderator should have cut it short and let it go. And I don't think I would debate him anymore because people already believe what they believe. People are already going to vote for who they're going to vote for. I think Joe Biden did a pretty good job of remaining calm and cool for the most part. I like the way he engaged the audience and kept the eye contact and didn't just totally stay over with Trump. And I like when he laughed at him. It pissed him off. And which is how I think. I don't think he was supposed to just totally go rogue the way that he did, but I think with Biden laughing at him and just not getting upset, he didn't put Joe where he wanted to put Joe. It backfired. It backfired. There were people who were probably sort of riding the fence, who were thinking, who would I vote for? But there are some women who won't do it now. You know, there are some people with the moral compass who won't do it now. But there are some who believe what he believes, who feel he's right in what he says, and who are going to vote for him anyway. But I think he lost some folks the other night.
So
And I say, don't cut the mic off, just don't do it. Because it also said earlier in the news that he's not even willing to change it up. He enjoys that mess. He thinks he won, but screaming and hollering, and he didn't have one policy. But people saying, yeah, he did a good job. You didn't hear one thing that he was going to do. You know, so you got some folks with some small minds that you're dealing with. So that's just the way the world is. But don't debate anymore.
Farmer,
Drop the mic.
Farmer, what did you think?
I would say that you do have to have the debates, because the debates are, I think the debates are traditional. And I think in this world that we live in, where America is leaving so many of the traditional parts of it because we have some tyrant in the White House, I think you got to keep the debates in place, at least for some level of morale. But I do think you have to adjust it, and you do have to institute a mute button. And you have, because there's no other way to keep that dummy silent. He'll just talk through what you're trying to say and take your time. You got to mute him. You got to mute him and just have him sitting there looking like a dummy and take it. And instead of having Joe be the person that says, shut up. And I hate that Joe had to tell him to shut up, but Joe had to tell him to shut up. And I want somebody to curse him out on stage. That's what I want to do. I want somebody to curse him out or punch him, but we can't do that. So let's institute a mute button, and at the very least have some measure of control over the process, because Chris Wallace had zero control over what was going on the other night. And additionally, I will say this, I did notice today, this is a guy I absolutely cannot stand on Twitter. His name is Scott Adams. Scott Adams, I think that's his name. He's the guy that created Dilbert comic strip. And he's a conservative for some odd reason. I don't understand his approach, with the exception of him being a white male. I don't understand why else he would be into being a Republican or a conservative. But that said, he today said that watching the debates, he has been pulling for Trump the last 3.5 years. He said the debate, his inability to answer the question on white supremacy pulled him off of Trump. After 3 years, after all the dumb things this idiot has said, that was it. So I think, like Marsha said earlier, I do think that it's actually changing people's minds about him and pulling votes from him. So that's why I think you have to have the debates.
So I'm. Go ahead, Meryl. I didn't know if you was. So what are your thoughts?
I don't know who could control them. I saw a bunch of memes like, you could get Medea, somebody. I don't know how you can control that dude. I mean, like the mic. I'm interested to hear your idea, because I just think if he's gonna behave like that, then just forget him. Just don't do it.
Okay, so
or record it.
Portia, are you there?
I'm here. Operative word, if he's going to behave like that. He's going to behave like that. That was expected behavior, period. And he had a purpose for doing it. I don't know if it backfired or not. Because, he's got it. I mean, T-shirts were made the same day. And they're out there. So, who is he really appealing to? He already has a base audience. So he's spreading even further. Now, as far as having a debate, if you play his game, you can't win. So, maybe we do not need to have a debate. He's shown his true colors. We know who he is. I mean, the people that are supporting him, they know who he is. They know what he is. Because we are traditionalists maybe we needed to create new traditions and not have another debate.
Okay, so I give you my little 3 cents on this topic. So let me say this first. Joe did a wonderful job under the circumstances. He definitely won the debate. If we just wanted to black and white it, he won the debate clearly. I didn't like all of the smiling and grinning he did and laughing, because it was almost received by me as, doesn't this guy know he's not supposed to be saying this stuff out loud? You know, like, because Joe's track record is not that stellar, and some of the stuff that Trump was zinging him with was actually true. It's unfortunate, and he was not ready to engage in some of that level of debate about his 40 some years in Congress, and that part is like, hey, you know, I don't really want to talk about that. Let me just grin. So with all of that being said, I say let the debates go on. I do not want a mute button. That's akin to a toddler running around your house and you got the little gate up and the little things in the plugs and outlets to keep them from sticking stuff in them. This is a grown man. The measures of control should be utilized for those who are incarcerated or children. What is it? God looks out for idiots and babies or whatever. Well, in this case, we just have to let this grown man be whatever he is. He has who he's going to have as his backers. They're not going anywhere no matter what he does. However, if he continuously is on this stage without a mute button and he can't control himself, not that it is something that I am like, hey, I don't think the top of the ticket looks that well. I say that unabashedly. Not in love with the top of the ticket no matter what. But I will say, this guy can do what he does without a mute button. And anybody that's on the fence, anybody that has any bit or morsel of decency, but actually thought they were going to go that way again, should be talked to going the other direction by him, by this person. So no, I would really have preferred, you know, in the big picture of things, I didn't think Hillary engaged him that well. I thought Bernie would have done a better job both times. Would really have liked to seen Elizabeth Warren on the stage with him. But so far, in this instance, Joe is doing the best that anybody has done on that stage, sharing space. And maybe COVID's helping with that, because he couldn't just walk around behind him and stalk him and stuff like he did Hillary, but which I thought was also interesting. Anybody else want to go ahead, Portia?
Question. We're speaking as if we have expectations, high expectations, simply because he's in a place of power. How many of us, and just being real, that are on this line, have engaged with people that we know? You can't talk to them, you can't debate them. They're going to get louder and they're going to get more aggressive, and you just wind up walking away from them. He's one of those.
So the whole that you're absolutely right. But most of the people that we know like that don't ascend to the highest office in the land. So because
that's what I'm saying. He don't. But we have expectations because he is there.
No.
Yes, he should. Now that's what I'm hearing.
No, I don't have expectations. What we've done, what we're witnessing inside of this whole rise of a reality TV show star to the top levels of government, is that unfortunately the American citizenry is pretty dumb. I actually put a big part of the reasoning for all of this to taking place in the facts that our educational system truly is terrible. I mean, absolutely horrible. So with that being said and understood, we still get this. So now that he's there, we don't have to change, or we shouldn't change what our expectations should be, Portia, even though they're not really expectations anymore. We shouldn't change ours to meet him, because if we do that, which is the problem that everybody's fearful of, we are sliding down a slope where hope this will not be a one-off. We will continue to see this type of person arise and sustain power. And if it's not him, it'll be another one. This is a whole setup for him, his ilk, his followers, his sycophants, including his family, to maintain and sustain a presence in politics for the duration. Go ahead, Marsha.
I think the thing that got me though, people, and of course they said how he acted, but I actually had heard a brother on CNN after this say he never should have disrespected him. This man has a nickname for everybody. And I wish I could have tweeted to tell Joe to call him Trashy Trump. You know, it's like he can do it to you.
Or something.
He told him to shut up.
But when you do it, he's disrespectful. Well, Trump is disrespectful too. And I gotta go. I got 1 minute, but I gotta add this because you were talking about how disenfranchised Blacks were, and we're at the bottom of the totem pole. I'm looking at CNN. There are these Native Americans who do not have access to Wi-Fi, who do not have access to electricity, who are living in trailers on a freaking reservation. And if the sun doesn't shine, the solar panel doesn't work, and the kids can't plug the computers up. Now that to me is a problem. You know, and I'm concerned about us and our kids and everything, but you're talking about people, we living on the land. People have come in and taken everything that they have, and what they have now is substandard.
Well, I will say this because I know you got to go, and I don't want to leave you hanging with just that bit of information. And it is not something that I'm appreciative of or think is justified at all. But what you had was a form of reparations that was given to Native Americans. A lot of treaties that they signed were not honored over a course of time, but they did receive land and things of that nature. Now, what happens with that? There's a lot of exploitation there. It is unfortunate, the history of Native Americans, period, in this country, but they're not one group either. There were a lot of deals that were made with certain tribes, just like when African Americans arrived in America. We didn't come from a continent as one people. We came from various tribes and various countries within the continent of Africa. There are various tribes that existed here in America. Some made other deals, and some Native Americans fully assimilated into white culture, so on and so forth. Native Americans owned slaves. So I say all that to say,
some of us own slaves too.
Well, when you say some of us, how do you mean it? Some of us
sold us into slavery. That's a whole nother conversation.
Again, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. As I stated,
wait a minute.
There are tribes in Africa. There's not one group of people.
I gotta go to church.
Some slaves bought their family members also. Not gonna let you do that.
I'll call you tomorrow.
No, but that won't be here. Bye, Marcia. Have a good night. Enjoy your church service.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Take care.
Enjoy Bible study.
I'll be Portia.
Yes, you tried to muddy them waters right quick, but we'll clean them up. But yeah, seriously,
and left on you.
Yeah, and look, that's why that's like dunking and leaving with time on the clock. Though it's still a game going on. You got to dunk, you got to highlight. But let me finish.
Do reverse racism.
Yeah, exactly. So real quick and to the point of just addressing what she said, because I don't like to leave that dangling. There were African Americans or Black Americans who owned slaves, and in some of those cases, they actually bought family members. That was a business. That was an institution. It wasn't just always about, hey, I own people. Look at me and look at what I can do with them because I want to. It was actually an institution that was recognized, and if you were able to buy your freedom, you might want to buy your wife's too. So yeah, you might own your wife. Anyway, there's slavery's a fascinating topic, historical issue that we don't talk about enough. The Supreme Court, before we get out of here, I think it's amazing that the Republicans and the current president, they get these breaks, man, and RIP RBG, but Jesus, these breaks, man, like they get to put another justice on the Supreme Court at the end of at the I ain't gonna say the end of his presidency, but at the end of his first term, and during an election where the Senate's going to be up for grabs and his job is supposed to be up for grabs, and he's making history, and he's telling you that this is the part I really want to hear you guys respond to. He's telling you, we have the Senate and we have the Supreme Court. The election is going to be a mess. I'm going to make sure it is. And when it gets to the Supreme Court, I'll have my people there to decide it in my favor. That's a boss move, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a boss move.
And look, and he's still the president until January 20th of 2021. So like, it doesn't really matter. He can do it now. He can do it in November. He can do it in December. The Senate doesn't turn over until January. So
he told him that he's like, literally saying that he's not.
You can't stop it.
Yeah, he's literally saying that.
This dude is look. I mean, and if there was some fear about some different legislation, I'm not very sure if it was the other way around. If there was a Democratic president and the Senate was Democratic, they might try to rush one in too. I don't know. Like try to rush another Democratic one in, right? So like if Biden was the president right now and RBG passed away, but we need to go ahead and get another just in case I lose. While we got control.
Well, haven't we? Have the Democrats not done this for years? And now that the pendulum's swinging a different way, in a different direction, Republicans are taking advantage of the situation and doing what leadership would do.
This is a rare case where the president and the Senate are controlled by the same party.
But it's still, your leaders are doing what leaders do. They're stacking the deck.
Yeah. But there's also there's the lack of bipartisanship, and I think that's more what Merrill is alluding to. Like nobody is actually showing any decorum in terms of we don't get the vet, we don't get the stuff that normally takes place. Portia is being regardless.
I hear you.
Merrick Garland still went through the process, although they made it clear they weren't going to let him be selected. It was put out there for everybody to see that. Wow, this is unprecedented, and he doesn't get to pick this guy, and this is what they're doing in broad daylight. Now, they're going back and being total hypocrites in the shortest of time span. These guys that said that this isn't like a whole new bunch of senators that are saying.
Again, you're speaking about expectations. We're expecting them to act in a certain manner. They're doing what people do. They have the situation, they have the advantage, they got the home court, and they're going for broke.
That's what you do. Okay. It was a Republican Senate when President Obama was president, and he's a Democrat.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, what I'm saying to you is they did it and said we're doing it because.
Oh yeah.
That's so, and if you guys get the chance, we would expect it to be done the same way. We need the same level of decorum and understanding that we shouldn't have to rush this through. We need to see what happens in the election.
Right.
Now, we can also address some of the ideas that swirl around the fact that they say that, RBG fully expected Hillary to win the presidency and she would retire under Hillary, and Hillary would get to pick the next Supreme Court justice to fill her spot. That's unfortunate that she didn't get the opportunity to see her wishes fulfilled, but that's also a danger in playing that politics at that level when the Supreme Court is not supposed to be political. So she could have retired under Obama and got should have been the same level of fulfillment, but was that an extra reach of feminism that cost the Democrats the ability to fill her seat?
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing too, I think about, and not to disparage, God bless the dead for RBG, but I think there's been some revisionist history kind of looking at a little bit about her, there's this whole thing about feminism, right? It doesn't really belong to all women. It belongs to historically mostly white women to kind of get to that bust that glass ceiling because they're almost there. And so RBG, yeah, versus Wade, and there's some other stuff. But if you look at like her hiring practices, little shaky.
She said she thought it was stupid.
Kaepernick too.
Yeah, she thought it was stupid.
She's a little shaky. So, but yeah, you're right. I think they were trying to make that power play, which people do when they have the advantage. I mean, that's what you do.
That's
But
what you do.
Should judges be a political party? That's the part I don't get. That doesn't make sense.
It's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
Farmer, you had something you want to say?
No.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Seriously. I saw you.
You know, I can't even remember what I was just about to address, so it doesn't matter. So yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I think she did say some, stuff about how stupid she thought it was that Kaepernick was kneeling. I thought that's what you were gonna
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
And-
I mean, yeah, I guess I did have specific questions about some of her things, her thoughts. But I can definitely tell you that I had a problem with Kaepernick, not because he was kneeling, but I didn't see the end game of what he was doing. So I can see why someone would say that, because I didn't understand. And, hindsight 2020, obviously, whatever he was thinking worked out for him and it made sense. But I can see how people at the time would say that, because my thought was, what, are you just going to do this for the next 5 years of your career? And then what's going to change and it's X, Y, and Z. But then for whatever reason, I guess he understood an undercurrent about the nation that I didn't see. So I can,
that's
not
fair,
to defend
man.
her. I'm just saying I can see it.
No, that's fair in terms of the interpretation and the lack. And I'm more on the other side of after he got the attention and after these years have passed, because it's been years. I desire to hear from him more than just a tweet every now and then. And I know he's got a biography or something that's coming out, but I don't begrudge, and I didn't begrudge what he did or the reaction he got, because I appreciated him doing what I call putting it on the line. You jeopardize your career. You show that you are looking at things through a lens that involves everyone, and you have not removed yourself from the human condition. Yeah. So I appreciated it. I did desire more engagement, but I think, as you're stating, you see from after he gets through with his actions, the way he's been treated, the way Eric Reid's been treated. That's fascinating. I don't understand how we've allowed that to become the symbolic media circus that it has. There's still not been a real level of engagement. You go get Jay-Z to do halftime shows and become some entertainment guy, and it's like, that's disheartening that there's not a true engagement from those, that 32 billionaires and their entities that are represented by, what is it, 72%, I think, of the players are Black Americans. So it's amazing that there's not more of a, like, we get it now and we really get it, as opposed to we get it now, hey, let's do this. And don't that make you happy? Huh? It's like, hey, let's really address some things. And that goes down slippery slope. I'm glad that came back up. So yeah, her track record in certain terms of addressing Black issues. I don't think she was even keen on the 1866 Civil Rights Act being challenged by challenged in terms of not protecting a Black business owner in Byron Allen. I don't even think she was like whatever about that too. And it's unfortunate.
I'm skeptical about Byron Allen's intentions, but that's another discussion for another day. But go ahead.
No, and that's fine. But when you think about it, and I get it, and I'm not. So when you have one person carving out this reasoning for challenging certain things, I don't have too much issue with him doing it as long as it's based on law. And the fact that they was so easily like subverted and it didn't, get a bigger argument, especially because it was about protecting Black people and their ability, that this is when we become citizens and we're supposed to be afforded protections, which kind of brings us full circle in this conversation. I felt unprotected listening to some of the moments in that debate, because just like that 1866 Civil Rights Act is kind of cooled off, and after all of these years, it's like, whatever. Right now, we don't hear that that acknowledgement of these people need protection, need to be made to feel more comfortable, and I'm going to be the one that says it here. We just got these illusions to, hey, we know the challenges have been there, and then it went right into, yeah, I'm the biggest law and order guy. No, I know about law and order. So how does the conversation about Black Americans, about African Americans, about ADOS Americans become immediately inside of that about law and order? Because that's how we've always been thought of, as a danger to this society. Apparently, that's what I got from that. Hey, this has been lively, and as always, Portia, you got something you wanted to say?
I don't know. When you start talking about feeling endangered, I'm wondering what's going to happen at the polls.
That was another thing he mentioned.
Early voting. I'm looking at, are people going to be comfortable going if they know people are going to stand up and stand down and wear the black shirts? And, you've got a faction of disenfranchised folks that'll say, I don't want any trouble. I'm not going to vote.
Absolutely.
I'm not going over there. I'm not, and it's everywhere because everybody feels what's going on.
Right.
And we're intuitive spiritual people and we just don't want any trouble. But does it mean that we have to give up our right?
Right.
For us, no. But some other people, yes. They'll turn around in a minute. It's like, okay, once they pray about it and they realize they don't want any trouble, they'll sit down.
Voter disenfranchisement is real. Voter intimidation is real. It's been with us since Black folks got the right to vote. Black men, in particular, there were assaults, there was intimidation, there was making somebody vote for who you wanted them to vote for. And of course, you guys know about the poll taxes, the counting jelly beans in the jar, and all of this
literacy tests and all of that.
Tests and literacy was not a big thing in America at that point in time for anyone, let alone just Black Americans. Grandfather clause, all of that stuff. So there's always been obstacles. And yeah, you're absolutely right, Portia. He mentioned in his talk, my people are going to be there. My people watch the polls. So wow, it's crazy, right? Like Marsha was saying, and like my grandmother said a couple years ago, there's a retardation taking place. We're actually backing up in terms of some ways we purported ourselves to be and how much progress we said we made.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy.
Yeah. Home ownership rates are lower now than they were in 1968.
Crazy. But yeah, as we wrap this thing up, I'm going to give Farm an opportunity to say a couple parting words, and then I'll come to Meryl, then Portia.
I thought this was a good session. I don't have anything in particular to add. Thanks.
Appreciate you. Meryl.
Yeah, no, this is good. I mean, I'm glad we were able to kind of get this out, talk a little bit about it. It's been big topic of conversation. I'm always surprised that people are surprised that, that President acts the way that he does and says the thing he does. People are like, oh, did you just see what he said? He said blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, that's what he does. If anybody's watching on the recording, when people watch it later, and Portia, this, I hope you got the email. We got that little grant to support poll watching and reporting to Democracy NC. So hopefully we'll be able to get involved in trying to keep, make people feel comfortable. So be able to bring some people out to the polls. So I guess Portia, they should come find you. They want to do that?
Yes. Find me for the people that are watching.
Yeah.
And we'll go ahead and get that taken care of there. There is a training that's coming up on Saturday afternoon at 2:00. So find me as soon as possible. You can inbox me, Portia Paris. I guess, are you finished, Meryl? Are you done? Okay. I just want to appeal to the people. We're talking about registering and voting. Please, 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 everybody that's listening and viewing this, please impart upon people the importance of just checking to see if you're registered. I had a gentleman today to contact me and say that he requested an absentee ballot only to be told that he was not a registered voter, but he voted in the primary. His name had been purged from the roll. So, you know, it's important for us to register. It's important for us to vote, but it's more important that we check our registration right now while we have the ability to go ahead and register and get prepared for the election. That's it.
All right. Well, listen, to echo that, if they can make a mess, they will. So best way to avoid a mess is to get in front of it. Make sure you can get your voice heard, and as Portia say, get registered. And hey, the bottom part of the ticket matters just as much as the top to some people, but the bottom matters more for your local issues, your community issues.
Yeah.
Those senators that we elect to represent us, they're not at the top. You have to find out who you're voting for. Do your research. Make sure you're kind of like, hey, I like this person. They're solid. Hey, had a wonderful time with everyone. Look forward to the next time. Thanks for joining us again, Farmer. Catch you everyone next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. I hope I'm saying it.
All right. Peace and love.
All right.
Yeah. Turn us off.
Yeah. Yeah, we make